All right, welcome back to Running with the Wolves. I'm Christian and this is Dustin. We are here to bring you everything in the world of running, from high school track and field all the way to the world of ultra marathons. Today, we're going to talk about one specific topic in general, the Chicago Marathon, and how Galen Rupp has produced a medal for us in marathon running for America, and which he hasn't done in a long time. I would introduce our panel today, but we have quite a few people. So with that said, I'll let Dustin start off with the introductions.
All right, guys. So welcome back for episode 7, like Christian said. So we've got something a little bit different today. Usually it's like one guest interview. Today we have a panel of 4 athletes, not including Christian and I. So we have Paul Stafford of Lake Wales High School. He's a senior there. We have Isaiah Smith of Colorado State University, some high school alumni, along with us. Adair Leiden at UF, not to run for the team, but a marathoner. And Christian Condor of UT Dallas, cross country and marathoner. A little combo there. But yeah.
Not yet.
We've got a panel of people, and we're just gonna throw out kind of post questions, and everyone's gonna talk on it. And it's a little different, but you guys think should enjoy it. So, without further ado, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, so obviously the Chicago Marathon was stacked today. You had Thaisa Lalisa, silver medalist in the Olympics for Rio in the marathon. You had Zernasay Tadesse, half marathon record holder twice. Also, both of them were part of the sub 2-hour attempt. You had people like Dennis Kimetto, the world record holder in the marathon, with 2 hours and 57 seconds. You had Korir in there for Kenya, also one of Rio's athletes, and I think he has a PR of 2 hours and 4 minutes. So it was just a really stacked field. Plus, we had a bunch of Americans come for the first time.
World record holder.
Yeah, you had Chris Derrick in there too, who's an amazing American track and field athlete who switched over to the marathon. Andrew Bumbalow, who made his marathon debut today. Noah Dradi, who also joined in. So it's kind of cool to have all these Americans. And of course, I think the big name we're going to be talking about today is Galen Rupp for several reasons. He's American record holder in 3 different track events. He was an 8-time 10K national champion for America. Brought us home a silver medal in the 10K, brought us home a bronze medal in the marathon, and probably just the best American athlete that's ever existed. But there's been controversy around him, which we'll touch on. And today he brought back American marathon running, and it's interesting to see where he'll go from this and kind of what he's going to do for the United States, and where other countries are kind of looking at us now. So I guess with that said, we'll probably start off how the race went, which was pretty slow. And I'll let Dustin start off with, the pace and what he thought of being 5:04.
Yeah. So from what I saw today, when I got caught up on the race, they had just crossed mile 18 and they were averaging like 5:08 or something like that. And there's a pack of about 11 guys with Chris Derrick leading and a bunch of Africans, including African-born Sam Shlanga, with Rupp in there. And it looks like they were just gonna cruise the last 3 miles and run hard. But Stanley Bawat did break them up. So it kind of just turned out where there was a group of 4 or 5, and Rupp just had the most speed. Is what it came down to. He just had a lot more speed than all of them, and he dropped, I think, 5 times 4:30. So I think that's what the race was decided on, 5 times 4:30 for sure. But if you guys Paul, any thoughts? Any thoughts? All right, Isaiah, any thoughts?
Yeah, I just thought that Galen, in his interviews, was saying that he's more prepared than he ever has been. For his previous marathons, he had plantar fasciitis for the New York City. Or is it
Boston?
Boston, I think. Yeah, Boston. He had plantar fasciitis for Boston, and then the marathon for the Olympics was his very first marathon. Well, second marathon after the Olympic trials, but his first big marathon. I saw he came out and just executed the race really well. So.
All right, Adair?
I mean, I agree. It was a great performance. I mean, to be the first American back to win the Chicago Marathon, 15 years?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty impressive. Again, I think that there's a lot of controversy surrounding that, but overall, from the naked eye, I think that it was a great performance.
And then Condor.
Yeah, however you cut it, an American taking the win at at a World Marathon Major is a big freaking deal. So, despite the controversy, I'm obviously hyped for it. Beautifully executed race. I think probably Rupp's track experience kicked in at the end there. I think is probably a lot of what let him crank off that 5x4:30. But overall, yeah, what a freaking race!
Yeah.
And then Paul, back to you.
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah. Sorry, it was cutting out for a second, but like, yeah, I definitely say like it was kind of going off of what Condor said. Basically, it was really well executed because those last like few miles, I think it was 4 or 5, can't remember, but yeah, he just like dropped the pace like beautifully and just put it to the race to rest. So
yeah, and then Christian, any thoughts on it?
I think kind of just talk about his race tactics. I think that's something that gives Galen an edge, and you've seen it since high school. You know, a lot of those guys actually came back with track experience. I think probably the person I was looking at as biggest threat was Zernasay Tedesche, because, you know, Zernasay, crazy about him was he was a cyclist before he was a runner, but he has a PR of like 26:41 on the track in the 10K, half marathon record holder. His 5K is like 12:48 or something like that. And so there's other guys out there too that had great track experience, but, you know, they all fell off. And I think Galen, the thing about him is he's really, really intelligent in about how he races. And he's also a very sound mind. And despite whether the allegations around him or not are true, and, you know, it's sketchy, I think as an athlete, even if he did do that stuff, I think he's a very, very intelligent racer. And I think that's what provided him the win today, because, you know, people are saying when it came down to the last mile, 3 miles, 2 miles, and he made that surge, you know, Career was still bouncing, but he was like gritting his teeth, and Galen looked like he had a smile on his face, and he knew he had executed it the exact way that he had wanted to. And, you know, he went from doing 5:08 miles to the very end of the race doing like sub 4:30s, which is not easy on the body to switch like that. So I think he is just a very smart racer. I think he did exactly what he came to do. And despite, you know, what's going on with him, you know, an American like born on our soil hasn't won Boston since I think it was like 1982 or something like that. I mean, Chicago. So he did something for us, and if nothing else, he's going to push a lot of Americans, I think, towards, you know, back to distance and what we need to get and stuff. So if nothing else, he really gave America a giant push, and that was really, really helpful. So.
Yeah. And now on the women's side, we had Tarunesh Dababa going, hopefully, she wanted to break the course record. It did not happen. She ran 2:18.09, I think. And then
I thought it was 31, right?
Oh, it was 31.
Right.
31?
Yeah, you're right. And then we had, what was the Kenyans?
Oh, Mary Katani.
And then we had Jordan Hasay get third at a World Major Marathon. So we now have 2 people out of the same training group under the same coach, switching from their respective track careers on running the 10K to hopping straight to the marathon, and being very successful, with Jordan Hasay running the second fastest marathon by an American-born woman of all time. So what are your thoughts on that, Christian?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to start off, I mean, with Tarunesh, I mean, she comes from a family of, like, not just Olympic athletes, but, like, world record-breaking athletes.
Yeah.
All the Dabas are ridiculous. But I think she has a goal in mind, because, you know, Paula Radcliffe, which is crazy because she's British, holds the marathon record for the women.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she had that in mind. So she went out there. She looked good the whole time.
Yeah.
That was a surprise to me. I thought Mary Katani would have put more up a fight, but she fell off. I forget the Kenyan girl who got second. She kind of came out of nowhere, was a wild card, kind of like what happened in Berlin and stuff. So she did really well. It was good to see a young athlete come to and get second. But I think Jordan Hasay did the same thing Galen did. Jordan's coming back and kind of helping America get their feet wet in coming to distance running. I think America is really, we've set ourselves a goal, and we're starting to achieve it. And I think that within a few years, because of athletes like her and Galen, we're going to start having more gold medals come home.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Paul?
Yeah, so going off of what Christian basically just said, it's like kind of you can see the progress in like high schoolers. Like it seems like we have a guy break the 4-minute mile every year now, and you can kind of use that as a way to measure it. But yeah, I definitely like the way that distance running's headed, because she also, like, I think that was the American course record or something like that she ran today, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just like the trajectory is like all on the way up. So it's a bright future for sure.
Yeah, sure. Isaiah?
I mean, I'm glad that there's more people getting American involved in distance running. I just wish they were more open about, like, we've had a lot of allegations with, like, blood doping and other, not additives, but just I wish it was, like, more open with the public about how clean these athletes are, like, being. Because Paula Radcliffe, as you were mentioning, she ran that marathon a while back, and, I mean, the procedures of how to, like, test athletes wasn't probably what it is today. And, I mean, Jordan Hasay and Galen Rupp are part of the same training group, Nike Oregon Project, and there's a lot of allegations on them and doping and L-carnitine, which is a legal substance to take, but
in certain doses,
in moderation, though. So I just wish, I'm really happy that Jordan Hasay and Galen were both really high up in the marathon, but I just wish it was more open.
Yeah, Adair?
For sure. I mean, to go back to the women's marathon, Jababa's always someone that I enjoy to watch, just running. Technicality-wise, she's a beautiful runner, form and everything. So that was awesome to see Jordan Hasay also, be the second fastest American woman. That was awesome. But again, like what Isaiah said, there is controversy surrounding that, and controversy that we unfortunately have to bring up when talking about just these performances. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe that she is under investigation. I know that Salazar and Rupp are.
Yes.
They're still under investigation as of 2015, I believe.
Yeah.
So, as far as Jordan Hasay goes, I would take it as a grain of salt, personally. I take every performance like these as a grain of salt. You never know in distance running anymore, and endurance athletes in general. Just in the past decade, we've seen a lot of doping scandals, and unfortunately, that's just the world we live in at this point. But again, yeah, there is a lot of controversy surrounding that. So just to keep it in the back of our minds when we're thinking about how awesome these achievements are, it is something that we have to just kind of look back on.
Yeah. And then Condor, anything to say?
Yeah, I'm with Adair. I think it's really sad that we've gotten to a point where we have to scrutinize every single marathon performance that's up there quite so heavily, just because of what alleged that Salazar and Rupp did. Like, I'm personally in the school that I think that Salazar and Rupp are dirty, but generally speaking, I think it's sad that we have to make the entire field suspect because of that. Because a lot of the controversy specifically surrounding Hasay is just because she's on the Oregon Project. Like, we don't have anything specific to suggest that she has doped, except that she's associated with the Oregon Project. So, I don't know. It's weird to think about. And then the Baba, of course, is... Sorry, you were saying there?
Well, but do you think that with Hasay being associated with the Oregon Project, so that's something that she...
What the fuck?
You see athletes leaving after their contracts. So,
Yeah.
Bo Farah, like, we could say he's on the Oregon Project, but that dude might practice with them like 2 times out of the entire year for like a week at a time. And then on top of that, like, Centris, didn't he just leave the Oregon Project? He's training with his dad now.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
and Terry Goucher left too, so it makes it, well, she's the one that caused the implication.
Mary Kane left after like a year with no
And that's what
explanation,
I'm
dropped
saying,
off the face
so-
of the earth.
Well, Mary King got slow.
Like, she's making that decision herself to kind of...
Exactly.
like that's a choice that you get to make. And if she truly believes that that's a choice that's going to get her to that next level, and today it did, and will continue to do so. But again, it comes with those allegations, unfortunately, and that's the package that you have to carry. So, fortunately.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting, too, to bring up Mary Kane, because, when Mary Kane left high school, people were saying she's not just the best track and field high schooler in America, like, she's, like, the best female athlete in any sport, like, to do what she's doing. And so when she left college, and she had a pretty good college season, I think she was at Michigan, she went and trained with Salazar, and, yeah, you're right, like, out of nowhere, she just leaves, her time started getting worse again, and, like, I think the thing unfortunate that, causes the athletes is that Salazar was a great runner at one point. So he knows what he's doing, and I think he's got all the tools that he's provided are really helpful, but it does, like Adair said, you're going to have that tagged on along with you. And I think some athletes don't want that because, unlike Galen Rupp, I think what makes him more unfriendly, which is something that we kind of talked before the interview started, was that Galen Rupp is not a socialite. And it does. People don't like that. We are the running community. We are all a bunch of nerds that like want to talk to each other and be there for each other. And when Galen Rupp does it, like the best thing he's got is a fan page by some dude that hasn't posted in 3 years. People don't know anything about him. Whereas Mo Farah, nobody wants to see Mo Farah, under doping allegations. He's like the friendliest, nicest athlete found.
Exactly.
His name gets dragged through the mud, And when Galen Rupp suffers, like it makes you wonder, well, if Galen Rupp is being questioned, Mo Farah is going to get questioned. I mean, my goodness.
Exactly.
Right. Well, there is some... Oh, you can say. No.
Yeah. It's just going off of Galen Rupp being social. Like, it's funny because literally today, I just retweeted something from his like verified Twitter page, but it was like from 2009, like stuff from 2009 at the top of his timeline. So it was like really
Lord.
long run, now about to watch the game or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And not to criticize that, but it is something to take into account. I mean, you're an athlete representing a brand, and that is part of your job is to entertain that brand and to entertain us, the audience. And while I don't want to equate professional runners to entertainers, essentially when you are supporting a brand, you're sponsored by them, I kind of want to see you living your life, or you're living your training or something like that that's going to inspire me, that's going to be relatable. And as an athlete, I think that's something that's brand new, and that's something that's come along with the digital age, but it's something that I feel is necessary in order to just kind of be vulnerable and be transparent within these allegations and within just this world of endurance running, because it's very skeptical no matter what. So
yeah. Then with Hasay today, like what you guys are saying, she doesn't have anything that's going to put her through allegations besides being associated with Salazar, and a lot of people have left. And Mo Farah said, obviously, what he said was, I'd be the first to leave if there was doping going on here. But then you have people like Kara Goucher saying stuff's going on. So it could have been going on and could have stopped with 2015 with like Kara Goucher and stuff. Or it could be going on still, and we just don't know.
The doping, though, I'm like, by no means am I like a super nationalist or anything. I'm proud of where I'm from, but if anybody knows me, like I'm super into Kenya. I think, honestly, the Kenyans, and that's where I want to move when I'm older and stuff. But I think the one thing that the USA does face that other countries don't face, because we're at the top of the world, we're constantly in the news, everybody's watching what we're doing, I think we face more scrutiny than other countries.
Oh, yeah,
because,
absolutely.
to be fair, the USA has had, we get, who was it, the athlete, she was a hurdler, she was seeded to get like silver or bronze in the Olympics, and she wasn't allowed to go because she missed 3 random drug tests. Like, she was shopping, and they came to her house, and she said, that's fine, I understand that. So America, we've had, I think, 25 years of absolutely perfectly like sending into the IAF all of our athletes' records and stuff. Ethiopia hadn't sent in a clean, true drug test for like 15 to 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But you don't hear about all the news about these Ethiopian athletes or Kenyan athletes.
Yes,
and
you did last year.
Drag a name like David Rudisha, when that went on, like nobody dragged his name through the mud. Nobody dragged Wilson Kipsang's name through the mud. They just attacked the specific athletes. And here it's like when one athlete get attacked, it's like all our athletes get attacked.
Yeah.
And I think that does some unfairness towards the states in that way because we're at the top, which makes sense. I mean, I understand, but I think we're a little bit harder on some of our athletes, and we put more scrutiny on them than we should.
I mean, we had the whole Genzeze Debaba scandal last year with their coach, the Spanish coach, having allegations go on and, you know, be dragged and arrested and brought to court and stuff on allegations, but we really don't hear about the Africans. You are right about that. But obviously
regardless, it's something that's under, we don't hear about it, but it's still under scrutiny, I think. Like, yeah. It's just something that needs to be addressed across all boards. Unfortunately, I think that because where the U.S. lines historically, that's why we are scrutinized more, to be quite honest. So.
Yeah, and then, like, the NBC Sports announcers did make a good point today. The U.S., really, we are the third best nation in the world as distance runners. We are. There's Kenya, there's Ethiopia, and as a nation, obviously there's individuals from nations, but as a nation, we are the third best performer behind Kenya and Ethiopia in distance running worldwide. Mm-hmm. Great Britain is getting there, but they're not where we are. France is getting there with their middle distance. They're not where we are. Poland's getting there with the middle distance. They're not quite yet where we are. They've got one or two athletes that are at our standard. So when you look, really, we are a superpower in global running outside of Kenya and Ethiopia. We are the best nation in the world. So with that is going to come scrutiny, I think. To have such a large athlete pool of elite athletes like we do is fantastic. And the sport, really, as it continues to grow, which is what we obviously want to do here. That's the reason why kids are getting recruited to run it more now, and why Christian and I are doing this to help the sport grow. Because we do have such a fantastic talent pool of athletes in this nation, because it is such a big nation. I think that because we are a first world nation, we do have a little bit of greed to try to make money off of it. And we have, obviously, the advances in technology where we have access to something where we could be used to do it, where we can go get an inhaler like for asthma, like Alberto Salazar does for some of his athletes, or get L-carnitine and have it diluted enough so you don't fail a drug test. That's a possibility, where it's not as much a possibility in Kenya, Ethiopia, as they're a third world nation. So that's why I think the allegations come, because we have more access to things like that. So that's where the allegations come from, whether it's right or wrong, that we get more allegations and stuff go on, and we're under more scrutiny. Whether it's right or wrong, that's how it is, because we are first world.
You have a standard we're expected to hit. And you have to remember that, I think, you know, the thing that I forgot, and to be fair, I should have mentioned this first, you know, when we were watching the Transcend series, the American who lives over there and trains the Kenyans, he goes, Americans run because it's their love for the sport. Kenyans and Ethiopians run so they can put, like, a food on the table for their family. Mm-hmm. So half the time they're not cheating because, oh my God, like, they want to get better. No, it's like, oh crap, if I don't cheat, like, I'm not putting a pig on the table for the family, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think in that sense they do have a little more leeway. And because we're the world superpower and people call us the world police, it is our job to set the bar for everybody else. Completely agree with that. And I think, you know, the thing is, like, I'm a Galen Rupp fan, but I honestly think he should be scrutinized a little bit harder because, you know, look at his high school times. He's been with Salazar longer than anybody. Yeah. You know, he's 15 years older.
Right. Well, even in, I don't know if y'all read his Runner's World interview before Chicago, but his little quote about his doping allegations was, we did not break the rules. I did not break the rules, I should say. I can't speak for anyone else, but I know that we've all been very careful that we did not break the rules. First of all,
that means you're tiptoeing on.
Why do you have to be very careful to not break the rules?
That is the pickiest wording.
And I will criticize his wording. Again, I do believe he is supposed to be a socialite. As a professional runner, you should be well versed in what you're going to say about these doping allegations.
Yeah.
You have people that tell you what to say.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree with him in the sense of that, you know, they take so many freaking supplements and, like, the IAAF, like, a certain level of your, like, I take an asthma medication that I think I'd have to, like, take a lesser dosage if I became a professional runner. So they technically do have to be careful because they're taking so much, and just like the slight, yeah.
I think it's just very, to me, there's a definite gray area of why you need to be careful. I do understand like what you're saying. There are certain supplements, certain medications that you would need to kind of alter in order to maintain just so that you're not legally doping. But I just think that there's some gray area surrounding this line.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
With the inhalers that everyone in the Oregon Project has, whether it's diagnosable or not. With the inhalers, obviously the L-carnitine is something obviously to bring up. That's not like a super common supplement that you just see people generally taking, like iron or something to be healthy. L-carnitine is specifically something you take as a runner because it does increases your lactate threshold by 10% or 11% if you're taking a legal dosage. So that is something specific. So you can definitely see why you would take extra L-carnitine, because if you're taking the legal dose, it increases your lactate threshold by 10%. And well, your lactate threshold is increased. You're going to be able to go faster without creating lactic acid and going into oxygen deprivation and an anaerobic part of your body.
I think the biggest thing that Adair said, look, I love the guy, but he's not likable. Mo Farah, I mean, you think would be under more scrutiny because he's a 10-time world consecutive champion, holds crazy amount of records, and in Rio not only dropped a 26:49 in his 10K, in the Olympic 10K, went back and got a silver in the 5, and I think the thing is that the reason Mo Farah won't get under much scrutiny is not only does he do a lot of public stuff, he's a happy guy. He posts on social media. We don't even see him with the team that much. He constantly is doing like game shows for Great Britain. He's doing, he just did a huge panel with like Usain Bolt and David Rudisha. They joked around. Galen Rupp literally does nothing. He's not even in commercials for Nike. Like, he's Nike's golden boy, and I think that's what really does cause Galen Rupp. And when he does do interviews and stuff, it's not like, when Mo Farah lost his 5K in the World Champs, he was sad, but he was such a at-peace person, and he was lovable about it. He said, yeah, you got to get right back on. When Galen Rupp lost his 5K at, I think it was the National Champions in 2016, he was so disappointed and kind of ugly about it, and it was like, oh, that's disappointing. Like, the few words we get to hear out of you every 2 years, and it's not, what we wanted,
Yeah, I feel like it's also because Mo, he on his Snapchat and Instagram, he posts his doping, his blood tests of what they're doing, his pee in a cup. And I feel like that helps people understand he's doing what he needs to do to be within the rules of what the IAAF wants.
Yeah,
Galen, you don't hear anything from Galen ever, so you can't tell if he's peeing in a cup or he's just messing with the system.
Yeah, that level of transparency is always going to be a good thing, especially in this day and age with social media. If you're using those platforms to help improve your transparency, then that's all the better.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that even if you take the situation that we're having now and you kind of compare it to Lance Armstrong's situation. Mm-hmm. Lance Armstrong was very likable. People loved him, which is why I think that his whole allegation kind of race, if you will, lasted forever, because there was always this plausible deniability with him. But with Galen and with Salazar, there's not this, like you said, this likability factor of both of them. You're not wanting to fight for them. The only reason why you kind of want to fight is because they're creating a name for American distance running. But is that enough? Are the medals enough, or do we need this kind of relatability, this kind of transparency to really believe? Because when you look at Lance, that guy denied it for years, for I believe a decade, and he was very transparent, very likable by the public. So it's something that it definitely helps when you have that transparency to kind of alleviate the controversy, but I don't know, will the medals be enough? That's the question.
Yeah, I think, to add on to that, too, the disappointing factor if drugs are being used for people like Galen is not the fact that they're just using drugs. It's the fact that, and it kind of not that anybody here watches the UFC like I do or anything, but John Jones, just fought Daniel Cormier, big thing in the UFC world. And John Jones had tested for doping the second time he had fought Cormier. Cormier took his belt. And people are like, well, when Jones comes back, after 4 years of being banned, he'll clearly beat him because he's a great fighter. And he did. He crushed him. And then guess what? 2 weeks ago, they found out that he was doping. They don't know how it happened. He said he does it, and they actually think somebody slipped him something. But I think the disappointing thing is that you look at Jones or you look at Galen is that even if they didn't use drugs, the disappointing fact is that they are great at what they do. We can say Galen ran 13:36 off of drugs, but it's not like drugs took off 2 minutes of time for him. We know he's a good athlete.
Exactly.
He can run fast, clean. And I think if he takes drugs, it's disappointing for us because he's taking such a unique gift and a unique position he was in as being an athlete like that, and just, he could have done it without it. And I'm not saying that he is, but, I think that's the disappointing factor. And we as Americans, whether we like him or not, he is the guy that is paving the way for us.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Want to do
it's just disappointing, just that we have other countries such as Africa, and we have Algerians like Makloufi.
Yeah, it's how we Makloufi.
Yeah, you see how much they train, all the effort they put into training, and I just think that they should get more credit for what they do. And Kipchoge's marathon prep leading up to, Berlin, I think it was, was just released, and he worked his butt off for what he did. I don't know, didn't talk about his if doping was involved at all. But I think that's because his training is got him to where he is today.
Well, I don't know that I agree with the Makloufi thing, because Makloufi was actually busted for doping.
Coach was. I think that's another thing too. If you're an athlete, it is not you can't just blame it on your coach. You should be doing background check your coach.
For sure. Yeah, exactly. You're
you should know going to the Oregon Project, you're going to be scrutinized going to the Oregon Project.
Yeah,
now, Craig Ingalls, I will never scrutinize because he's got the greatest mullet of anyone.
Yeah, I love Craig Ingalls, but Craig Ingalls, if he starts getting under allegations, look, he's had plenty of time since he's been in college to know what's been going on in the Oregon. I think what sets people like what you said, Isaiah, with Eliud Kipchoge. Eliud Kipchoge is a multi-millionaire. They said he has $20 million, $30 million. But is in a hut with 5 other guys, walks
exactly.
He's the most monastic. That's why he's my favorite runner. He's a monastic guy that can make $1 billion and it doesn't matter to him. His house in Kenya is a really small house with 6 kids in it, and he's he takes his training, and we see that. And he's not a super socialite guy, but he comes out when he wants to. He does what people want him to do, and he comes out right at the right times. Galen is just a mist.
The only time you see Galen is when Galen races.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When he wins, not even when he races.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a fair point, actually.
Yeah, because he lost recently, didn't he? The World Championships. He didn't make it in the 10K. You didn't really hear about him that much after that.
He didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So.
Even in the 16 marathon trials, didn't he show up a little late for the post-race interview?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And the thing about him, he's not a likable runner either. And it's because people call Mo Farah I remember during the 2012 Olympics when they came across in the 10K, it was look at Mo Farah, his training partner Galen Rupp. But there's a reason Mo and Galen don't talk that much. And when they asked, I just draw a blank. Dustin, who got the second in the marathon trials for us?
Meb.
Yeah, Meb Kilizigi. He's one of the most likable runners that has ever lived. I've met the guy. He's super cool, super happy. And Meb said in an interview, being really nice, he goes, I don't know what it was. We have this entire street, but Galen felt the need to shove me when we're the only 2 runners on a 2-lane road.
He was track racing.
Yeah.
Right.
In the middle of a wide open street. That doesn't take any adjustment. It just takes not being an idiot.
That's just Galen thinking he's more elite than everyone because he's the best American runner.
He's running it like it's a slow 5K with 30 people all trumped on you on a track. And Meb Kilizigi, he's just a good hard runner, and I think Mo was trying to show, like, I think Galen was trying to showboat a little bit and, saying, like, hey, I'm the master at the track and I'm taking my rightful place in the marathon. Which he's a great marathon runner, but me personally, that kind of takes away the point of running,
Yeah.
Running is not about beating your competitors, it's about pushing yourself to be a better person.
But now that we've talked about this, what do you think Galen Rupp and Jordan Hasay are capable of? I think Jordan Hasay is capable of an American record, without a doubt. But do you think Galen is able to get the American record? Not the 2:06.06 that Ryan Hall ran, but his 2:04.58 from Boston. Do we think Galen Rupp has a shot to run sub 2:05 on a record legal course?
I mean, I don't see why not. I think
he's like going for the attempt.
I think regardless what anyone does, it will always be under a microscope. So who knows?
I think as a clean athlete, if we're saying he's clean, I think my issue with Galen is, like, even as a clean athlete, he's kind of inconsistent. Like, he runs great times, like a 26:42 and a 10K, but then you show up to, like, the freaking world champs or the Olympics, and, like, it's like he is, like, dead in his legs. So he runs well sometimes, and then it's like some other times it's like, man, he can't even pull out some of the easier races,
Yeah, that's another good point. Because he ran the 10K before the marathon, correct?
Well, and he also got
yeah.
I mean,
he got silver in 2012 in the 10K.
Yeah, he had 3 days to prep for the marathon after the 10K last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know how you do that after having a really quick race and then your legs not being able to, like,
how was the first race worse than the second race, and the second race being a lot harder?
98-degree temps, or 90-something degree temps and 100% humidity for 26.2, and run a PR. To be fair, LA was pretty rough like that too, to be fair, but LA was definitely rough with the trials like that. But, I mean, I can see Galen. I don't see why not. Why he can't break Ryan Hall's record. Ryan Hall is the half marathon record that Galen's never gotten. Galen really has never raced half marathons besides tune-ups. So I think they're controlled efforts for the most part, with paces carefully planned by him and Salazar.
Oh,
but he's one of few people to have run sub 13, 350, to have the range that he does to run 350, sub 13, 26:40 something. Run sub 60 and a half marathon, and to run 2:09:20 now in a marathon. The 2:09:20 is the time that's sticking out as the slowest time, honestly. I don't see why there's any reason he can't add a sub 2:05 to his resume. To be fair, though, on a record legal course, there has been one non-African born athlete ever to run under 2:06, and that was Ronaldo da Costa from Brazil in 1998, the last non-African to hold the world record. So, to take it with a grain of salt, Galen would be making massive strides for any non-African runner in the marathon. But, again, it's going to come with the allegations for making that
progress. What they say to that with, when looking with Galen, dare I say it, but I think after 2012, when Mo Farah did so well, when you watch Galen win these crazy races or good races, it's usually he's alone and he's just basically pacing himself. He does not run well when there's not a specific pace. And I think Mo Farah really screwed that up for him, because we can clearly see Mo Farah can go from a literally 6-minute mile for 3 miles to dropping like 4:15s. It doesn't matter what pace, what time that's going to be, Mo Farah is there. And I think it's very unorthodox, because you'll see it, like a pace will be set in a race, and Mo Farah is like, nope, I'm going to change it on the split of a dime. And I think that's what causes Galen his issues. So if you put Galen in a marathon, well, in Rio he did really well, but you start adding him to more and more, getting his legs a little tired. I don't know if he can handle the fact, like, he's only raced Eliud Kipchoge once. I don't know if he can do it bigger races. He proved today that he can, but it'll be interesting.
If he goes in, I think if he has a pacer set to go, not world record pace in Berlin or Rotterdam or a major world marathon like that's pancake flat, with pacers. Chicago at one point was one of those races where you could do that with pacemakers. However, they don't hire them there anymore, so they can't. But if he goes to Berlin and he has a pacemaker set him for 2:04:50, he could do it. But the problem is going to be there's no one that's going to go pace set for 2:04:50. They're going to pace set for 2:02:50. So I think therein lies the issue for Galen, because he's going to want to be aggressive, as he always is. He's a patient guy, and he'll wait to make the move. But he can only hold 2:02:50 pace for so long before he starts to massively fall off, going out in 61. They went out in 65 or 66. They went in 66-30 today. Like,
Yeah.
so he definitely has the speed in his wheelhouse, but does he have the strength to run all out for that much? We don't know. And I think Hasay will run the American record. She will break that. I don't think that'll be a problem.
She's been steadily consistent. So
She's been consistent. But
Yeah.
Hasay has been the more impressive of the two. Hasay ran 32:30 for her 10K last year at the Olympic trials and didn't make the team. She ran 32:30 for the first 10K of her marathon today.
Yeah.
She's made massive strides. And New Haven, the New Haven 20K, it was 20K championships. Jessica Tan, who got 7th place there, was on here. But New Haven 20K, Hasay ran phenomenal there. She ran phenomenal. She did not run phenomenal at Peachtree 10K. I think she's found her niche as a strength runner. I just don't know Galen is that runner.
Yeah.
Right.
Galen's Salazar's a little prodigy, and basically Salazar wants Galen to be Salazar because Salazar is an egomaniac, I think. Salazar was the last American born to win Boston. Meb obviously is from Somalia, the same place Mo Farah's from. But Salazar is the last American born to win Boston, I believe. And he obviously won in in LA in '84, won the marathon. He wants Galen to be that guy. He wants to say, hey, I did this. I finally got an American to do that. I think Salazar pays more attention to Galen for that reason, because Salazar wants his ego to be intact. But moving on from Galen and Hasay, what's next to come for Dennis Kimetto? 2014 ran 2:02:57 and has his resume has 3 or 4 DNFs and a 2:11 and another DNF. Now today, what's
I
to
think
take
we
from
can
him?
answer that pretty quick. He's done. I'm sorry. He has DNF'd 2 or 3 times now, and the times he's finished the races.
He's
what
finished
done
the
is
race
great.
once.
Yeah, he did. I don't know. Yeah.
Isaiah?
I don't know. He's younger than Galen, right?
Yeah, he's 30.
Talking
He's
about-
younger than Galen. He's younger than Eliud Kipchoge as well.
But that also brings up another point. If Galen is older than him, how is he running faster than a African runner? And he's also the world record holder. I don't know how that.
Well, Kimetto's burnt out, but
But he's had since 2014. He's had DNFs. I mean, if he really wanted to run good
if he
time,
wanted to run
he could go
209,
find
he
a
could run
coach.
209.
He can go back to Africa, where I don't know exactly where he's from, but he could go train with Kipchoge, say, and then come back and run a decent time. But I mean, he might just be burned out though.
Yeah, Adair.
Who knows?
No.
Could be burnt out. I mean, I don't really like to deem someone's career, but if they are done, they are done. But I mean, you never know; it could come back. So.
Yeah, Condor.
No, I've never heard of somebody coming back from that kind of place. I mean, if you start hearing about many DNFs, that many disappointing performances, I'm not liking the chances.
Yeah, it's similar to Kenenisa Bekele as well. He ran 2:03:03 last year at Berlin, the second fastest marathon ever on a record legal course. But he has DNF'd since then. Dubai, obviously, he gets the free card because he got trampled by a bunch of people. He had some injury issues.
Yeah.
But this year in Berlin, he fell off the pace at like 15K.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to, and that's, the Nike. The reason I think the best race of all time was that Nike Sub 2, because it really got into the mind of running. And the guy who said I could quantify everything to the margin, the one thing I can't quantify is this huge area, is the mental toughness of a runner. And he goes, that's basically 80% of running right there, 80 to 90%. And you look at Berlin, Kenenisa Bekele actually used to race Eliud Kipchoge and constantly crushed him in track and field. But before Berlin happened, they asked Eliud, hey, how are you feeling? I'm coming here with a goal. I know what I'm doing, and I'm going to achieve it. And the guy said that when we did the sub-breaking 2, Eliud is like the most weird runner I've ever met. I've never met a guy who's so sound mind. And when everybody was writing, the 3 guys were writing on their shoes, they were writing their parents and stuff, Eliud wrote sub 2, because that's what he was there for. And when they talked to Bekele said, oh, well, I've been going, he was already making excuses before the races started. He was talking about injury and stuff like that. And I'm like, I think with most runners, it comes down to, kind of mental, and you can be mentally tough. I think like you can have a mental game plan, but like I think it goes deeper than just saying and believing that you're going to go out there and do it. I think like mental toughness is something like you're running. You got to prepare yourself every day. You've got to.
Right. You got to truly believe you can do it. I mean, that's exactly what he does. He believes in that. It's one thing to say that you believe it. It's another thing to live it. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and then obviously, besides Kimetto, we had some awesome debuts today. Sam Shalanga hung on the pack for 22
miles. He goes
miles.
to my school.
Liberty University.
I love him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go grab his official time now. Noah Droddy.
That was good.
Chris Derrick did pretty good.
Chris
He got
Derrick
ninth.
on his. I don't know his debut marathon, but
Oh yeah.
Chris Derrick ran 2:12:50 off a real slow pace. Tadesse obviously breaking 2. Definitely calls into question as how much the pacing of that race really did help and all the fluids of that race really did help, because he ran 2:05 there, but he didn't have the strength even before the pace picked up. He fell off before the pace even picked up. Tadesse, he ran 8th place, and him and Chris Derrick both fell off at the same time. But
Tadesse's old, and he's just now getting into marathon running. And like when they did the sub 2 and they were testing his stuff, like how's the guy who's ran 2 world records in a half marathon and crazy times in the 10K, 5K, like what's going on with the marathon? And they found out in his first 4 marathons he didn't drink 1 sip of water.
Yeah.
And he was like,
we saw him today.
I think water's my issue. I guess I should drink during the race. Yeah, you'd think during almost 30 miles you'd have.
Really?
So yeah, because that's when he did the sub breaking 2 attempt. People are like, oh, it sucks he dropped off. Well, he technically PR'd by like 5 minutes. So I mean, like, he actually did something great. So he's just getting to where everybody needs him to be, and
yeah.
I think he's just got some more. I think he's kind of old, but I think he's got some more stuff in him. Face at least, huh?
Yeah, he's got some growth to do as a marathoner.
Yeah, he's been old. I think Face Elisa's got a lot going for him. He's predominantly a road racer.
Yeah.
I think the guys who come
He
from
ran
track.
2:14:49 today, which was not phenomenal, but
he's young. He's really, really young.
he's 25. Yeah. And then Sam Shalanga, like I said, ran 2:15:02 today, debut marathon. Fantastic race. Noah Droddy gets top 20 as his debut. Beat Luke Piscadra. He ran 2:16:26. Piscadra ran 2:17:53. Droddy had a phenomenal debut today. And then on the women's side, there were some debuts as well that I will pull up here. We just had a lot of quality performances by some Americans today. Chris Derrick ran fantastic. Shalanga ran fantastic. Droddy ran fantastic. Rupp ran fantastic. Like, we just had phenomenal races. And then on the women's side, we had, obviously, Hasay run awesome. We had Megan Grifshin ran 2:33, and that's not some world-shattering time, but that's no slouch either. Leah Gray ran 2:34:25 today, and she's in the 25 to 29 range. She's young. So I think the U.S. definitely has a very, very bright spot in the marathon. We had number 7 through the 7th on the women's side. We had 7 through 13 were all Americans, and 6 of the 7, it looks like, were in the 25 to 29 division. There was one in the 40 to 44 division, but we had sub 240 from 7th place through 13th place. It definitely is looking.
Yeah, that shows you, though, too, the age range that these women have. I mean, to have 25 to 29 all the way to 40 are just kind of age of distance running it's growing. It's awesome how long of a time span we have as women.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think it has certainly can be attributed to like how much we've learned about recovering on our bodies and what we need to do. Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we might not know, oh, hey, don't walk around all day, then try to race. People might not have figured out your legs will be fatigued. Now, I wouldn't say 10 or 20 years ago, but a long time ago. People might not know that, or people might, think the training is more specific now, obviously. Going back to Emil Zetapek's days, Christian and I big idol of us, 100 times 400 at race pace. Like, it's just not beneficial. So we've learned
It's great that he could do that, but I wouldn't recommend it.
That's a special.
Like,
that's a special.
he used to do lunges across a field with his wife strapped to his chest. Now, that to me is an odd method. It worked for him because he's the only person in history who won the 5K, 10K, and marathon in the same Olympics. And when he got to the marathon, the guy who was like a world record holder, he not only ran up onto the side of the guy, he said, "Hey, is the pace too slow for you?" Like, yeah, that's great that Emil could do that, but he's one out of like all these runners in the world. So it's nice that specific training, and I think the USA has really helped to push that more. Because like we don't have. I think what's making us faster is that the Kenyans, they've been running for millennia. It's how they catch their food. It's historical for them. And they're just now getting better. Like, they don't have near them as much equipment as we have if you look at their training camps. And I think the thing is, like, Americans are starting to realize, we're not Kenyan. We don't have to run 4 races and be dominant at all of them. We send one person to each race, and that's all we need. And you start to see it. Our guys tend to last longer. We're starting to hit more consistent times. And, we're improving a lot quicker than these other countries, So I think it's only a matter of time for us before we start taking over 1 and 2.
Yeah, for sure.
I think America has a lot of potential, though, coming up. A lot of high school runners are looking really well. A lot of high school and collegiate athletes coming up in the professional world, hopefully. We just got Drew Hunter. He just came out of high school. He ran 3:55 in the mile.
And 3:36 in the 1500.
Yeah. Crazy times. And, you kind of know that hopefully he's not doping or doing like any of that stuff, but he's been he's on social media occasionally. He'll post. He ran in Dublin, I think it was. He ran the mile.
Yeah.
He ran another sub-4. So he's looking good. Collegiate teams, Futsum, Zena Selassie just came out of NAU. He's running for Hoka. He's gonna try to make the trials, hopefully, and I don't know. Looking pretty hopeful for the UNS stuff.
I think the only other issue I think we have in running right now is that, to me, because I love watching it, is a lot of the women's races are kind of overshadowed by the men's races. And I did a whole article last year on it. There's a lot of women records out there that are under question, and you look at the 100-meter dash, how is it Elaine Thompson, who's so incredibly fast, is still 0.3 seconds off from a world record? People know Bolt hasn't done it because there's nobody his height running the way he does, and they've analyzed it. He does this weird thing with his legs that makes him super fast, and he still loses. But I think there's a lot of women out there too, because we constantly talk about how the men are breaking 4 as high schoolers, but you look at people look at Christina Aragon. We didn't have any guy high schoolers in the Olympics in distance, but Christina Aragon was 3 rounds in the 1500, just slaying down women.
Kate Murphy too.
Huh?
Kate Murphy, Caitlin Collier, Sammy Watson.
Sydney McLaughlin.
Well, exactly. To look at their age too. 17, 16? It's crazy. I think.
Well, I think personally, I think some of the women are hitting faster than men retrospectively. Look at Kate Grace. She's I don't know if it's Kate Grace or Bree Oakley, but 7th grader who's running in the 16s in a 5.
Grace Ping.
1636. That's what it is.
1636 ran in a pro field. 7th grader.
She's a 7th grader. It's crazy.
And that's a topic too for a different time.
Oh, yeah.
For some of those things. For some of those other controversies. As a young runner prior to that is something that is really cool to see, but also it's quite controversial too.
Well, Colleen brought that up in a few interviews ago. Her being an Olympian.
Her dad had released an article about it pretty recently too.
Yeah, a lot of Americans are we really pushing too hard for our kids to be great too fast? I think that there's some case for that. But yeah, we talk about that another time. I think we've pretty much covered
one final thing. So this is a question for Adair and Condor here. Both of you guys were track and field athletes in high school, and Condor obviously is a track and field athlete in college now too, as in addition to what he's doing. But obviously there's a lot of track and field athletes switching to the marathon now as their career goes on, and you guys are two people who are doing that. How different has it been? And give us some insight on the difference in training between track and field and the marathon, seeing as you guys are doing it now.
Yeah. I personally like the training a little more than I did in high school and in middle school when I was training at my peak performance for the 5K, 2 mile. From an early age, I knew that I was better at the longer distances. Just that's how my body performs best. But again, in high school and middle school, I was very limited on the amount of miles that I would do. So I don't think I hit over maybe 35, maybe 40 miles a week when I was in high school. And that was later in high school. So maybe my senior year, I'd finally hit 40 miles. I'm now hitting close to 55, 60 on a good week. And that'll ramp up as I prepare for my marathon. But I think it's different than going out and running your long run 10 miles as a high schooler, and now I'm running 17 as my short kind of long run. It's weird.
Yeah.
And it's a different mental challenge that I enjoy, and it's just a different world from the 5K compared to the marathon, the half. It's just a different kind of world. So
Yeah, for sure.
that's all I can say. So.
Yeah, here, I'm going to get Condor back in here now, hopefully. I don't know what happened with his connection. Kind of just went out. But I really, to pick your brain a little bit, how different are, like, the workouts? Like, your tempos, for example, for a marathon. How does that feel to run a tempo for a marathon rather than a tempo for a 5K? How similar is the effort?
I would say that, so for my training, it's a little different too, because I did take about a year hiatus, I would say, from running, just for health reasons. So personally, for me, going out and running a tempo at 650 pace feels a lot more difficult than when I was at my peak in middle school, high school, running a tempo at like 630 pace.
Yeah.
Now, tempo now would be a lot longer compared to my tempo in high school. Again, to give a frame of reference for those listening, my goal marathon or half marathon pace, which is coming up, is sub 130. So that's what I'm going for. So it's different. It's a different challenge, all I can say, and you feel better doing endurance runs than you do doing lactate threshold runs. Those suck.
Oh, yeah.
I think there's something to add to that, too, because I'm in a similar boat myself. I'm almost an official year off of running as of, like, I think 2 weeks from now. And I think, you know...
You might even be over a year, because you stopped running for 3...
It's not a year
you
yet.
started running for 4
weeks.
weeks. You started running for 4 weeks, and then your year for then. So
I know I got injured like 4 weeks ago, a year to the date, but like I'm trying to push it.
Yeah.
But but I think, you know, it's funny because I always thought the distance that would hurt myself, but sometimes it's more speed work, and I think it is different doing like marathon type of running, because when I was coming back, I switched to the triathlon when I got here, and it was more distance, like strength based, and it actually was like easier in some ways, harder mentally, harder a bit more on my aerobic endurance, but it was easier on my legs in the sense of like pulling muscles and stuff. Right. I think that is important, you know. And so I guess with that said, by the way, did you get Christian back in?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Okay,
yeah,
you're
Christian's
here. Okay,
here.
I saw the picture at the top, but I think
I had technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, it's good. I think something you know, me and Dustin always ask that goes along with our interview is like we like to ask, you know, each and get different perspectives on what does running mean beyond the sport. So we'll start with Adair, and like what has running meant to you besides just, you know, the competition aspect?
That is a good question, and I really like that y'all do that. For real, I really like that. Running to me was always my identity, and I didn't learn to redefine myself until I lost running, until I couldn't do it anymore. And then I realized that running was something that I enjoyed, that brought me the best friendships that I could ever ask for, that just brought me just a sense of happiness in the fact that this is something that my body is capable of doing. It's a gift that I'm able to do, and I'm able to tell my story of who I am through running. So in a little bit, that's running to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Isaiah, what about you?
I mean, it started when I started running with you guys back in, I don't know what year that was.
Sophomore year.
14.
Dude, that was a long time ago.
Short
But yeah, I started with that, and I don't know, just like running. Like I wasn't super in shape at the time, but since then, I just found like a sense of unity and like passion for the sport. Like you just find like more mental strength, honestly, and you meet more people, and just it's like a sense of like teamwork and just overall friendship. That I mean, I've known you guys I haven't talked to you guys in a while, but I mean, I still like.
Yeah,
occasionally,
I mean, we're in contact regularly.
Yeah,
We just don't see each other.
No, that's the beauty about running. I haven't talked to you in like 2 years, but I get just as gassed as when you were here when you do well in your races, you know?
Yeah.
So,
It's always fun to catch up with people that you haven't seen in a while through running and stuff, and just compare like times and all that.
Yeah.
stuff.
And then Christian Condor, anything to say about it? What it means to you?
Running has been a funny thing for me over the years because I started running in 6th grade to convince my mom to sign a waiver to get me out of PE. I kid you not. But over the years, like Adair was saying, it's become a form of expression. I've become the guy who outlasts. I keep running for as long as I can, and that keeps me sane. That makes me happy. It's an outlet in the craziness that is this life I'm leading right now. And it's always been the weirdest mix of being able to find like those moments of perfect solitude to get away and having we few, we happy few, we band of brothers.
Yeah.
It's a million things at once, and I can't imagine where I'd be without it.
Yeah, and like it really does put a notch in your belt for like everything in life. Like the amount of work that you put into it is kind of a parallel to what you need to do the rest of your life to be successful in running. You got to be put in that amount of work, translate it to the rest of your life. Like Christian Condor, for example, I talked to you pretty recently, and you're like, yeah, it's a few weeks. I want to do 25 to 30 times 400 with like a minute rest at race pace. Like that amount of like drive to do something so painful and so miserable, to know that you want to do to get to where you need to be. Like, I think that is the beauty of running, because if you are willing to put in that amount of work, you will get out a lot. And that's why it's the best parallel to life, because really you get out what you put in. And that's kind of a beauty of it. In basketball, you can hit a jump shot, you get out what you put in, but you're not going to be the freak athlete that someone like LeBron James is. That's the beauty of our sport.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I guess with that said, and I always like doing a little recap. Today was interesting, guys, for everybody watching, and our viewership is awesomely and amazingly growing. This was new for us, so we knew Paul dropped out, and then Christian had a little issues there. So we thank you for bearing with us if you've made it this far.
Yes.
But I think it's interesting and it's really unique to have 3 different runners and 3 different perspectives. And we all connect to each other in different ways. I am going through basically what Adair has already gone through. I'm out for a year, and for me, me and Dustin eventually will do our own interviews of each other one day, but running was my identity. It defined everything. People knew me as a runner in high school. I was
the Canyon twin.
Yeah.
8,000 views on the article.
Yeah, I know, it was awesome. But I think the thing that all of us, and I think everybody that we interview wants to put towards people is that, a lot of people ask us, probably the most common question is, why would you ever run for fun? And we don't even see it as a sport we do. We see it as we are blessed with a gift. Because running isn't about being fast. It's about pushing your body, pushing yourself. You meet amazing people, and it gives you so much that that we we can never have expected, and running has done for me. It's just simple. It's putting on your shoes and going out and pushing your body. And I think there is something so incredibly simple, but so incredibly amazing about that happening. And that is what me and Dustin are trying to do is, give running not to just high school athletes who are amazingly fast and they're going to go do Olympic things and stuff like that, but to reach out to even people who are 60 or 70 years old who are just trying to stay healthy. Because that's what running is about, is staying healthy spiritually, physically, and mentally. So with that said, we thank all three of you guys for coming on. And I think for announcements, me and Dustin didn't talk too much before this, but
I think what I had talked to Coach Brayman from FSU, and he said anytime early October we hit him up, and he's pretty much game as long as it's not the day of the FSU invite. So it's looking like we'll probably have Coach Brayman on sometime this week. Hopefully, keeping our fingers crossed. Hopefully Justin Knight will come on soon. We have been in and out of touch with him. It just depends on catching him on a good day. For all of you guys that want to see Justin Knight, I know we promised it, so we'll get it to you as soon as we can. And we've got some crazy athletes lined up to come on here and just to share their gift and share some knowledge. It really is. It should be good. To all of you guys, we're doing it for you. So.
Yeah. So with that said, I think besides that, me and Dustin, the podcast is just the start for us. We're trying to go across and do many more things we have in the works. We're working very hard for you guys, even though the quality is not too great right now. But hopefully this summer that'll change, and hopefully some of these breaks too. So with that said, we thank you, Christian. We thank you, Isaiah. We thank you, Adair. We hope to see how well you guys do in your marathon for Adair. Isaiah, wherever you're going with running after this, we know you're going to do awesome things. And Christian, in your not only marathon but in your collegiate career too, we cannot wait to see what you do and hope to have all you guys back on. And so with that said, thank you guys so much, and
thank you.
See you for the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.